Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my channel. For the month of December, I decided that I wanted to try Vlogmas for you guys. So yeah, we will see how well that goes. So that'll be a video every single day for the next 25 days. But yeah, let's start with the first video today. And today is actually December 1st. So if you guys don't know, it is World AIDS Day, World AIDS Awareness Day. And yeah, I wanted to share with you guys the story of the first time I got tested. It's kind of a funny story. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I do try on hauls, stories, commentary, and yeah, a bunch of skits and things like that. So yeah, let's just get started. So the first time I got tested for HIV, so because I had all that education, all that information in my head, tested for any STDs or HIV wasn't something that I felt like shame for or anything like that. For me, it was just ingrained in me as something that you would just do. So yeah, boom, let's go. The first time I moved to Canada, I was living in Ottawa with my parents because I had come to the summer and I was going to go to U of T in the fall to start university. And and so yeah, that summer we lived in Ottawa, and I met and so yeah, so for that summer I lived in Ottawa, and I had like the biggest crush on my neighbor. I'm not gonna mention his name, maybe he might be watching my videos or something like that. So I had a really big crush on him, and he also liked me. So we would like sneak out and like go on long walks and then and talks and everything like that. And one day we went over to his house and we played like Monopoly or some stuff with my brothers and sisters and his like friends and family and stuff like that. So we played and everything, and like as it was getting later and later, like everybody started to leave, and it just ended up being me and him, and we were talking, and we didn't have sex, we just dry humped. But I was so scared. I don't know why. And yeah, I got so scared despite all the education I had and all the information I had as to how diseases were sexually transmitted and things like that, and even having all that knowledge as to how like you could contract sexually transmitted infection or sexually transmitted disease. I was so freaked out. I was so freaked out that I even took a pregnancy test. So I knew that my periods, so I actually knew that I'm very in tune with my body, so I knew like it was around my ovulation cycle. So I knew I had to wait like 2 weeks for my periods to come. My periods were 1 day late, so I was freaking out. So I went and I bought this like Clear Brew pregnancy test, which was obviously negative because I didn't have sex. But I was still like, oh, now I need to be 100% sure about my status on everything. So luckily for me, I started Googling sex health clinics, and I saw that there was a Planned Parenthood right next to my university, and it was pretty straightforward. I remember because at that time I had just come to Canada, so I didn't have a family doctor or anything like that. So I literally just checked the times when Planned Parenthood opened, and I went there. It was pretty straightforward. So the first I went there, I actually had to go twice. So the first time I went there was a month after the foolery. It was a month after the foolery, and I went there and I got like a full panel test. And the reason why I did not do the HIV test then is because I knew that for most STIs and STDs it would take 3 weeks for it to show. About 3 weeks. That's what I learned. I learned that it would take about 3 weeks for it to show in your system. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And for HIV, I heard that it took at least 3 months for the antibodies to like kick in and everything like that. So I waited. It was like, I didn't think about it all the time, but I did think about it. But I had to wait for the 3 months. It was also pretty close to when I finally was able to find some time to get the testing and everything. It was actually close to World AIDS Day again. So I was like panicking and stuff, and it was I do want to say that it was actually a great experience when I went. So I went to Planned Parenthood again because I was very familiar with the place at the time by then, and that's because when I had gone to Planned Parenthood the first time, they had asked me if I had a family doctor, which at the time I didn't. So they hooked me up with a family doctor. They hooked me up with the pill. So I decided to just go on the pill, even though like I literally didn't have sex until like 2 or 3 years after going on the pill, when I was like, how old was I, like 20 or something like that. So yeah, I got hooked up with a family doctor. I also got I had gone to Planned Parenthood on appointments to get like my checkup, and then also I did go there to get like a physical. I went there to do a physical and some unrelated blood work. I was freaking out because it was World AIDS Day, or close to World AIDS Day anyway. There were events surrounding World AIDS Day, so I just had that information all in my head and everything. I was not so much afraid of getting tested or getting the results or anything like that, but for some reason there was just some type of fear in me. I have had family members who have passed away from complications from AIDS. A lot of them were in Cameroon, and it wasn't a situation where they couldn't afford the meds. It was more so a situation where, because of the stigma, people refused to get tested, or when they did get tested and had the information, they somehow believed that it wasn't HIV, but it was like a witchcraft or a curse. And I had like a lot of family members and close relatives pass away from complications from the disease because of that. So I had that information in mind and everything, and I was scared. I was scared. We know how our society is and how stigmas are, and even though I knew what I knew what I had done and everything like that, and I knew my chances were low, it was still kind of scary. Because I usually don't like waiting, I went pretty early so that I'll be like one of the first or the second people. So I went in, they greeted me nicely and everything, as they usually do. They asked me what I was in for, and I stated that I was there for an HIV test. So what they would do is that they would give you like a questionnaire, when the questionnaire would just ask you like standard questions. Last time you had sex, how many partners have you had in X amount period, how many times have you had like unprotected sex, have you, and things like that. And yeah, so they'll ask you that. And before I actually went in for the test, they would bring in a counselor to talk to you with regards to your emotional state at the time. So you would have a counselor come in, talk to you, ask you a couple of questions, just how are you feeling, how would you feel if the results came out a certain way. They would kind of prepare you and also let you know that they're there for you, and regardless of the outcome of the exam, they'll still have someone to talk to you, to guide you in the direction that they will need to guide you in. So I had my session with my counselor, and then I went in and I got the test, and they would literally just sit you. It was an instant test, so it wasn't a situation where they would have to call you in 2 minutes or something like that. Basically, they'll take like a blood sample, and they'll prick your finger, let the blood drop in this like, I don't know exactly the formula of the liquid inside, but then if your blood separated, I guess it meant that there were antibodies combating the, like, you had antibodies combating the virus or something like that. Or but if your blood like stayed the same, it meant that you did not have HIV. So yeah, so I got tested, my test came back negative, and I thought I was just gonna walk away, but then they brought back the counselor to talk to me and just to ask me about like how I feel now and what my plans would be for the future to basically safe sex and just giving you more information. And then before I left, they handed me a couple of condoms, as they usually do in Planned Parenthood. But yeah, it was a great experience because I was scared, but the environment was so welcoming, and even they had a lot of pamphlets and communities and people that you could reach out to if your test came back positive. And they even just the fact that they had a counselor to talk to you, and they had a counselor available on the floor regardless of if you're going to get tested for HIV or not. It was just great. I really appreciated it. So yeah, I just like to share this story with you guys. It's December 1st, World AIDS Day. It's a time that's very important to me just because of the amount of family members that I have lost based on this. When I moved to Cameroon, I had one of my aunties who took care of me while I was living in Cameroon. She passed away from complications from AIDS, so it's very near and dear to me. And even now in 2019, we see in like a lot of like the Western world, for example, we see like the rates of HIV are increasing for Black women. We see that people, even though because there's still a lot of stigma surrounding HIV, which makes it very hard for people to feel to just get tested and know their status. We see a lot of there's a lot of misinformation, the way people are being treated, and it's just very unfortunate. And I just wanted to share you my story and show you how, based on the information that I had, even though I was scared, I knew what to do, and there was also an environment that did not shame me for doing what I had to do. And yeah, I hope everybody knows, everybody who's watching this video knows their status. If you don't know your status for any communicable diseases, really, go get tested. And yeah, happy holidays. See you guys in the next video. Bye.